In this chapter, we're going to look at sentiment analysis, which is determining how the writer feels about what he or she wrote. Sentiment analysis also goes by the name of opinion mining. So this chapter is broken up into two different videos. The first video is an introduction to sentiment analysis. And in the second video, we get our hands dirty by doing sentiment analysis in the Python library Vader. So like we said, sentiment analysis is about determining how the writer feels about what he or she wrote. So product reviews fall into this category. And also Twitter is a big source for sentiment analysis. You might want to know how people feel about a particular brand on Twitter so you can mine tweets about it. Sentiment analysis is really hard because computers can't read, so we have to use tricks to figure out what the sentiment of the text actually is. And in particular, irony and sarcasm are difficult. There's two basic approaches to sentiment analysis. The first is machine learning over text. So given a bunch of text examples labeled with the sentiment, you can then encode that text using machine learning to classify it. One example might be a bunch of product reviews where you know the rating 1 through 5 on a product. You could then use those labeled data to train new text and guess the product rating from there. And we cover machine learning over text in another chapter. In this chapter, we're going to focus on the sentiment dictionary, which is a mapping of words to sentiment values. For example, excellent would be a positive sentiment, and terrible would be a negative sentiment. With a sentiment dictionary, what we do roughly is we aggregate the values of the sentiment words to get the sentiment of the text. So an example would be, I love the color but hated the weight. I guess it was good. Loved has a positive sentiment, hated has a negative sentiment, and good has a positive sentiment. So if we just looked at these three words, the overall sentiment would be positive. So one thing we need to do with dictionaries is handle intensifiers. So if someone says something was very bad, that's worse sentiment than if they just said it was bad. And the same with very good. Very good is better than good. And negations are also something we have to handle. So if something is not terrible, that means it's not bad. It's a small positive sentiment. So often when we do sentiment analysis, we want to know what the person is writing about or has sentiment about. So if they're talking about a movie, what parts of the movie did they like or dislike? This is sometimes called aspects. So sentiment analysis is sometimes over entities and features. So when a person is writing some description, they may be talking about multiple different things at once. They may be talking about a movie and the drive home in a tweet. And so we might want to know how they felt about the movie, but not about the drive home. Another related problem is finding what features or aspects of the thing they're discussing that they're actually expressing sentiment about. So if they're talking about a hotel room, they may say, I love the view, but the room was noisy. So they liked the view, but the noise level was bad. And so you might want to know both of these things. And if you just merged it all together into one, you're going to lose that distinction. These things are very challenging. So one quick and dirty approach is to assume that only one entity is relevant, whichever one you can extract, and only one aspect is discussed. Another thing you can do is just pull out the sentences that correspond to the entities you extract and assume that each sentence is only about one entity. Or you could even do that about clauses.